Hello, and welcome back to New Year, New Game. This is where I attempt to play 365 games from my Steam library that I have never played before. This is game 281, Sunless Skies. Sunless Skies is a Lovecraftian type of game and has that gothic horror to it. I do enjoy me a good Lovecraftian story, and what kind of Halloween would it be if we didn't have a few lined up? I've seen this game along with another one where I believe it was Sunless Seas. But essentially you are wandering around through the sky in a kind of steampunk dystopian setting. Surviving, making it through. It looked like a fun game, and I held off on playing it earlier this year to save it just for October. So, without further ado, let's get in the game. Oh, and just so that my face doesn't block the game, we're going to need to put our chroma key on. There we go. That's better. New game. If you die, you can only continue with a new captain. If you die, you can reload or continue with a new captain. Guess we do a legacy campaign. Aiming assistance, none. Enemy projectile speed will be standard. Supply consumption also standard. Can I use a controller? Log of Her Majesty's Locomotive, the Orphan, March 14th, 1905. Our expedition of the domains of the dead has been eventful. The Orphan is damaged and in grievous need of repairs and supplies. We are returning in haste to the Reach where I hope to make port in New Winchester. I didn't get the other one. It was me. May God be with us. Feel better. That's a good name. Alright, we can't use a controller. West. Third right. Alright. Return to the Reach, an untamed sunless span of the heavens. London's new frontier. A celestial garden in the wild. Dodge left, dodge right. Your journey back from the Blue Kingdom was tumultuous. Your locomotive is damaged, and Captain Whitlock badly tumultuous. As first officer, the crew look to you. The nearest station is New Winchester. Can you get the Orphan there safely? Toggle C. Use control. Scavenge. Much to the relief of your stokers, you find a barrel of fuel above you. Detritus? A wreck. Drift here. The wreck of the Osmondeus. The wreck hangs in the sky, pocketed with recent gunfire. You and the boarding party don your sky suits, garments of waxed canvas lined with felt to protect against the cold of the sky. Two of the crew are whispering as they dress. What business did Captain Whitlock have in the Blue Kingdom anyway? Why the devil did we trespass on the districts of the dead? You silence him. Now's not the time. leap across the wreck. The gap between the two engines isn't wide, but the endless fathoms of heaven gape beneath it. Leading the way, you jump. Your stomach lurches with vertigo as the stars blaze above you and below. The air of the heavens is thin and torn by unpredictable winds. Then your boots hit the running boards of the Osmondeus, and your leather-gloved hands fumble for a hold. One of your companions throws you a line, and you lash the two engines together. Only then do the rest of the boarding party follow you. One of them forces open an exterior hatch, and you clamber inside. Her interior is cold, unlit, and whistles with wind. Your party lamps spread a buttery light over the narrow, paneled passages. You make your way towards the hold, stepping over bodies crumbled in the corridor. Unfortunately, your way is blocked. A bulkhead has been mangled inward by a well-aimed barrage. We can clear the obstacle away. You locate a length of pipe to use as a pry bar and set to work. This will test your iron skill. Iron is the skill of confronting and overcoming. Or we lead our party on a more precarious path. We go back onto the Osmondeus' hull, climb past the blockage, and enter through a window on the far side, and do so carefully. Vils is the skill of deceiving and invading. That's something I'd like. We succeed. A memory. The rest of the boarding party follow you without enthusiasm. You recall the first time you climbed outside an engine, helping the captain fix a leak in an exterior pipe. The wind is shriek, buffeting at you. You ask the captain what would happen if you slipped. You fall, she answered tirelessly. But where to, you asked. She looked down, then up, then back. The sky's depths spiraled all about you. Away, she said. Then you heard her fear. Back in the present, you tumble back into the Osmondeus through a shattered window. Your party spill in after you, glad to be back inside. You've reached the Osmondeus' hold, a ruined smashed cargo and spilled supplies. Hopefully somewhere amidst the detritus you can find parts to repair the Orphan and restock your store. Conduct a thorough search. Your companions work quickly. The Osmondeus' hull has begun to creak. Your actions on board may have compromised its integrity. Renewed. You find enough food and gear to restock your supplies and enough spare parts to make necessary repairs to the Orphan. The food will need to be thoroughly thawed, of course, but you've eaten worse in the skies. "Oh ho!" cries one of your party, prying the lid off a long crate. It holds a cannon, still nestled in straw. Another crewman pulls a battered birdcage from a pile of ruined cargo. Within the cage, something winged and furred opens a sullen eye. You examine your finds. You've gained 4 supplies. You've gained 15 whole. The Osmondeus emits a long, juddering creak. Your boarding party exchanges nervous glances. From the chaos of its hold, you have retrieved repairs and supplies, and discovered some useful equipment. A gun that can be mounted on your locomotive, and an educated bat. Mount the Jerusalem cannon to the Orphan. Her own weapons were damaged during the fight from the Blue Kingdom. That leaves you vulnerable. You can claim both this and the bat. Liberate a diffident bat and employ it as a scout. The heavens are wide, so locomotives use scouts like bats to locate things of interest. Ports, resources, wrecks like this one to scavenge. You can claim both this and the cannon. It's too dangerous to stay. Now we're gonna do this one. We're gonna mount the Jerusalem cannon. The Cotterell and Hathersag, Jerusalem fires single shells to a good range, more or less accurately. You order 2 of your party to get it back to your vessel and fit it immediately. The Osmondeus groans again. The structure shudders spasmodically. Spasmodically. You now have 1 Cotterell in Hathersag, known as the Jerusalem. And then the bat. Eyes in the sky. The bat treats its rescue as an inconvenience and immediately begins haggling over pay. You offer to put it back in its damn cage and leave it on the Osmondeus, at which point it becomes more polite. You doubt it will last. You now have 1 defiant bat. Ooh, a defiant bat. Should we press on to the engine room? You might find more fuel there, but you'd better hurry. The Osmondeus is beginning to tear apart. This is not without risk. Let's return to the orphan. You lead your boarding party back to your vessel, unshackling her from the buckling Osmondeus. You stoke your engines and steam away, restocked, repaired, and rearmed. The crew give a ragged cheer. Your terror has fallen. Onwards. Rick drifts here, less fortunate than you should. Press F to send out your scouts. Your scout has discovered something. To see what it is, open your chart. That's my chart. Over here, your scout has discovered something. It's a station. Good. Summoned by Captain Whitlock. The walls of the captain's cabins are lined with a hodgepodge of curious from across the sky. Captain Whitlock lies in bed. Black marks cover her skin like a monstrous brand. When she coughs, coils of acrid smoke pour from her lungs. Inquire after the captain's injuries. Approach the bedside. The captain opens her eyes. As you draw near, she attempts to smile. The locomotive doctor attends her. Her lips are tight. The brand. A word of living fire pursued the orphan across the Blue Kingdom. It caught you just before you passed through the translit relay to the Reach, and set its brand upon the captain. It's burned itself right through her, the doctor whispers. When I closed the worst of her wounds, I could see the signs it seared into her bones and her organs. Judging from her symptoms, it's on the inside of her lungs, too. The captain leans to one side and vomits a plume of fire into a copper bowl. There's nothing the doctor can do. Approach the bedside. Her mouth is blistered from the blue fires that dance on her tongue. Her hand grips your arm. Her skin is hot as a kettle. Made arrangements. The orphan will be yours. Her voice is just a rasp of burned meat breath. A promise. She breaks off to scream a word in a language that was not made for human mouths. When she resumes speaking English, she is weaker. Her request little more than a gasp. Promise me one last service. Promise. Promise her you will obey her last command. Make no promise. Tell her to rest. Pull away. Demand to know why she took the orphan to the Blue Kingdom. Let's promise. Whatever it is, you'll see it done. She sinks back, relieved. All in my will, she gasps. Be a better. She breaks off as the signals burn into her bones flare. glowing cherry red through her flesh and skin. Better captain than I. The efforts exhaust her. She sinks back into the scorched pillows in a twisting, frantic fever. Well, the captain. Okay, we did that. Let's take our leave. You have an engine to command. Onwards. Other business. You leave the cabin and the scorched stink of the air behind and return to the bridge. New Winchester is further than you'd like, and the captain hasn't long left. Loot. The Reach Marauder is defeated. You prepare to board the buckled wreckage, poised to plunder the plunderers. Behind you, someone is humming a song of victory. Raid the remains, marauders pillage homesteads and hunt travelers all across the Reach. They often carry stolen valuables or strip it for repairs. How much hull do we need? We're good on hull. Let's raid the remains. Ill-got gains. Your boarding party returns with wallets and watches, cufflinks, lockets, and keepsakes. You store them in the safe to be pawned when if you make it back to port. New Winchester, 512 experience gained. Arrival at New Winchester. You coast into the bustle, the din, the soot, and the steam of Wolvesey Station. It is clogged with other engines, scrappy mining locomotives from Lustrium Way, weathered explorers gleaming with frost, sleek company vessels with bright brass fittings. No sooner have you pulled into the sidings than a brusque station master brustles over. He requests to come aboard. I must speak with your captain, he insists, brandishing a ledger. The usual formalities. Look to the orphan's doctor. He has just appeared at your shoulder. His face is solemn. His hat is in his hands. He lowers his eyes. The passing. The crew exchange bleak, wordless looks. The orphan itself feels suddenly more empty. The station master looks confused. You informed him that unfortunately, Captain Whitlock has just passed. Ah, he says neutrally. Sorry to hear that. Very sad. Very sad. He waits for what he considers an appropriate minute and a half before continuing. Alas, even amidst tragedy, the cogs of bureaucracy must turn. If Captain Whitlock is deceased, the station authority requires their answers from the first officer. He dons a set of spectacles and locates his pin. It'll be relatively painless. Name, background, purpose of visit, etc. Shall we begin? Let us begin. This is character creation. Here we go. Create your captain. Today, London lies between the stars. Our new empire unfolds across the heavens. But 10 years ago, before the Northern Gate was open, before the renewed Empress led her people into the skies, it lay in a vast cavern far beneath the earth. Deep, dark, marvelous. Who were you then? Street urchins, a soldier, a poet, an academic, a priest, a sailor. A ministry auditor or a revolutionary? I don't want to do the revolutionary. The world is broken. One way for the rich, another for the poor. You decide to do something about it. You will begin with high vis, the skill of evading and deceiving. You were a revolutionary. A law offered you no protection. The engines of the state were set against that which you knew to be just. So how did you resist? With your feet and your fists, with your mind or with your art? You marched, and when marching wasn't enough, you fought. Lies are the tools of tyrants. You published research to expose those lies and eliminate injustice. Our art travels swiftly. It cannot be imprisoned. It cannot be hanged. I say with our mind. Increase your mirrors, the skill of investigating and deducing, and affiliates you with academia. Choose an ambition. What does winning mean to you? Wealth, fame, the truth. I'm gonna say the truth. Even the stars have secrets, but they won't keep them from you. A message from an old friend begins an unwise quest to learn a secret that the stars hide. What drives you? Curiosity? Justice? Insolence? Whatever it is, it'll be tested. Our appearance. Let's do a random. That's us. Terms of address: comrade, brother, sister, reverend, madam, sir, citizen, captain. I think captain would be fine. And our random name. Oh, I guess it randoms everything. We're Specialist Boyle. Looks great. Look at all this here. We're just oh so sneaky. Start game. Could have randomized everything. The reading of the will. 3 weeks have passed. This morning, Captain Whitlock received a simple memorial service. Her body was consigned to a necropolis train bound for the Serene Mausoleum. Now you sit with a handful of her relatives in the thoroughfare offices of her solicitors. Words are so tedious. A methodical notary is reading the will. The captain was wealthy, once, but squandered her capital on mysteries, expense before her expedition to the Blue Kingdom. Mysterious expenses. Listen to the end. The captain's relatives, from whom she was mostly estranged, are clearly wondering why you are here. Visioning. True to her word. In a final condolence, the notary announces, Captain Whitlock confirmed that possession of the orphan was to pass to its first officer. He peers at you with dry, gray eyes. This includes a certain black box contained in the orphan's hold. Captain Whitlock's final request was that, at a time of your choosing, you transport said box to an address in London. He hands you an address card, and deposit it there. You are not to look inside. She gave no explanation. And that's it. You're a captain now. The orphan is yours. Captain Whitlock's legacy. You have been bequeathed a large black box which once belonged to Captain Whitlock, and we've gained 100 souvenirs. New total 136. Provisioning. Before you leave New Winchester, it may be prudent to buy more supplies. You can buy them at the Victoria Market. To visit the market, select it from the menu that appears to the left of the main panel. Here you can swap between shops and stories. Scouts, your scouts had discovered something. Just you. Oh, that's something we already did. Let's hide the advice. Onwards. New Winchester. The clamoring central station of New Winchester. A place of steam and smut and thundering iron. Here you can find people willing to pay for a skilled captain's service. We have room for 2 more people. Supplies, what's this? Fuel, 2 barrels and hold. Should probably get some more. Let's repair the locomotive. Restore your locomotive to pristine condition. Sovereigns, not souvenirs. Let's continue. We lost 9 sovereigns. In occurrence, your whole quality is now 30. Isn't that great? That's perhaps not. Ambition, an old friend. Follow your return to New Winchester, you are eager to meet up with an old friend. Explore the city, the smoggy, clinking, singing, stamping, thronging, frantic heart of the Reach. Recruit the inconscious driver. I specialize in test driving, but I'm looking for something quieter. Should we just go down the line then? I think going down the line would be the best thing to do. Explore the city. The smogging, clanking, singing, stamping, thronging, frantic heart of the Reach. An ever-expanding port of soot, smudged glass, and bright steel, spilling across a drifting, mist-wrapped archipelago. Its factories thunder, its engines' sheds ring with hammers and hiss with steam. Locomotives chug into sidings for repair, or flare across the sky and away into the high wilderness. An opportunity, learn about trading. Successful skyfarers fund their expeditions by dabbling in trade. Inquire whether there are any trading opportunities available. Let's do that. On the pedal trail, a porter at the station advises you to visit the nearby pub. The promise of days and talk to the seasoned captains there. They keep their ears to the ground. They'll know about an opportunity or 2. Visiting the promise of days is one of the options when exploring the city. Trading opportunity. Visit the promise of days at New Winchester to learn of a profitable trading prospect. Continue. Visit the Promise of Days, the club where seasoned captains gather to trade stories and share advice with young skyfarers. Old pistons gleam on the walls, the shelves are crowded with mementos from across the sky. The clientele raise their voices to be heard above the comforting clamor of the adjacent engine yard. You may find helpful advice here. Introduce yourself to the seasoned captains. They're always happy to offer words of advice, sometimes many words. Does that rat have an eye patch? And there's a person in that bottle. Alright. Instructions. 4 are gathered at their usual table. The masked citizen, a libertine, polymath, and pioneer of the neo-nocturnal artistic school. The bedeviled dictator, a scholar haunted by his divorcers. The plucky baroness, explorer, collector, philanthropist, and spatchcocker Meg, who hunts monsters. Of course, everything out here is jolly dangerous. Oh, hang on, I gotta change that. Of course, everything out here is jolly dangerous, says the Baroness. Few risks the sky, so news of distant ports is available. Collect port reports from the places you visit and deliver them to Victory Hall or Company House. The more you turn in at once, the more they'll pay. Look for another opportunity on the way, advises the masked citizen. Passengers who want transport, rich men in need of bloody work, etc. Bold pistons gleam, we did that already. Ask them how to make your fortune through trade. Between them they've carried Navrantine gemstones from Eleutheria, souls to the Blue Kingdom, and raw hours to London. Have they tips? Ah, the Didac says, fiddling with his innumerable talismans. An essential topic. Meg slides you a stool, and the captain shuffles around to make room. The masked citizen buys you a drink of their own invention. It is violet and foggy. The plucky baroness gives you a brisk, encouraging grin. Ask away. Ask about markets, ask about prospects. A trading opportunity, ask them if they know of a good prospect available. In point of fact, I do, says the masked citizen, tapping an elegant finger on their elegant glass. The host at the Magdalens needs an urgent delivery of seeds, paying a pretty penny, too. If I were you, I'd get to the bazaar straight away. Put my mark against it. Meg grunts. Roker in Port Avon is selling cheap seeds. Chirpy chap. God knows why. His face looks like it's been pushed through a mangle. An opportunity. Port Avon lies to the west, northwest of New Winchester, and Magdalen lies to the northeast of New Winchester. Accept this prospect from the bazaar if you haven't already, then buy seeds from the bazaar in Port Avon and sell them at Magdalen's. Continue. There's a lot of talking topics you can do in this game, it seems. And we are at 32 minutes. I'm afraid I have to end it. We didn't get super far in the game, but I mean, that's to be expected in 30 minutes. However, from the little bit that we did experience, it definitely has a story to tell, and there is a lot of text to go through. However, I think that's also a good part of like Lovecraftian stories, not only visual aspects, but text-based reading ones as well. The combat system, though we didn't really get to experience too much of it, we had a little bit of a run-in with that one marauder. If you go to the Steam store page, you can see a video of kind of like the types of fighting they get in, and it almost is reminiscent of like a bullet hell type thing. And we have a dodge where we can go left or right, and it has a bit of a cooldown to it. So I imagine that combat could get a lot more interesting the further out we go, and the more that we play. On top of monsters that they have out here as well, which is where the Lovecraftian side gets into the game. I find it interesting enough that I would want to continue to play the game, so I think I will definitely add it to a list just to explore more of it. And then there's also either a sequel or a prequel to this game as well, where you actually are traveling a sea and ocean, as opposed to the skies. And it's got that same kind of Lovecraftian vibe to it as well, and may be interesting to check that out at some point. Maybe we'll do that here on New Year, New Game. But I'm going to give it a thumbs up, mainly because there's not really enough information on here for me to give it a thumbs down. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next spooky game. Goodbye.